Welcome back, everyone. Dr. Perry Bush back with us from Bluffton University. We're looking ahead to the midterms. Interesting, I think in the past week, NBC News had a poll that came out and asked people, who do you see taking control of Congress? 46% said Democrats, 46% said Republicans, 8% undecided. And as you brought up, one of the things that came out on that polls was the stark difference in the issues that were important to each party. Is that going to be the game changer?
Yeah, and this is democracy, Jeff, so the voters in the end get to make the call, right? I got to say, for years, and this is my little truism here, there seems to be been a truism at work in U.S. politics that it's so self-evident to me. I've told it to students. If voters go to the polls, I tell them, thinking primarily about economics, the Democrats do well. If they go to the polls primarily worried about kind of social, cultural issues, traditional marriage, pro-life matters, immigration issues, then Republicans do well. So Republicans stress kind of these social issues. Well, this election, actually, they seem to have flipped. They've reversed. Democrats want people talking about abortion rights and same-sex marriage, and Republicans are wanting voters to push those old pocketbook economic issues. So it'll be fascinating to see, which sets of issues motivate the voters and who comes out and control the Congress in November.
How much influence do you think former President Trump, current President Biden will have, or do they? Is it a matter if you're a candidate, maybe you shy away from those two, or do you seek their endorsement?
Well, it's interesting. Candidates in close races have not been gravitating towards them, either of them. I mean, Biden's got the message, we're not sure we want to be campaigning with you, and Trump is making it difficult for some Republican candidates. It's fine. If you're in the primary, you want Trump, you want his blessing. He can help you win the election. But in a general election, many independent voters find him a alienating presence. Traditionally the elections have been a referendum on the president, right? When the president's approval rating is down, the president's party, president in power, gets waxed by the voters. He gets rebuked. And Trump coming into this has nationalized this election, right? So, the Democrats have some reason for hope. They are in actually a surprisingly competitive position, more than we would have thought 4 months ago when Biden's approval rating was like 35%, and the word was a red wave. Well, now the data you just gave us suggests that Democrats are really competitive. They're focusing on abortion rights and same-sex marriage, and Trump's presence just helps them make that case, right? The voters are reminded of the Dobbs decision that overturned the Roe v. Wade. And Biden's approval rating has gone from 35 to 42%. He's still underwater, but there's some things that are helping Dems. Gas prices have fallen, right? And so Republicans are talking about tough times. Well, gas prices have fallen, and the evidence shows they'll continue to fall all the way through election day. On the other hand, there's another poll came out, said that economic issues are still likely to dominate in November. 52% of the voters in this NBC poll said they agree with the Republicans on the economy. And if that's what's going on, we'll see what happens.
It's fascinating. You brought up a very good point, because the prognosticators will say, well, it's going to be the abortion issue and the Republicans doubling down, or it's going to be border control and the mess there. But you brought up a very, very good point. It almost seems like it's the issue of the day, what state the country is in when you go to the polls. How's my job and the economy and gas prices? Do we give too much credit for all these vast issues and not enough credit for how life is going that day when you go in to vote?
Right. Huge numbers of Americans kind of make up their minds kind of at the last minute. Those of us who are political animals, well, we've got it all figured out once in advance, but a lot of Americans just kind of go to the polls and, feeling, how do they feel, right? They feel, geez, I just filled my tank of gas and it hasn't cost me as much and things seem to be going as well. Well, then I might just pull that ballot for the Dem. But if I'm frustrated with the price of milk and eggs and a mess at the border, some of the Republicans seem to be stepping on their own message. I mean, this stunt by Ron DeSantis, he takes these 20 Venezuelans and flies them to Martha's Vineyard. I mean, that may play well with certain sectors of Republican base, Jeff, but it strikes large numbers of Americans as kind of a cruel and heartless political stunt to play with people's lives. And, those kind of things kind of have a lasting residue. So we'll see how it all plays out.
Yeah, one analyst said it's going to depend on which party shoots themselves in the foot, going into the election. So we'll see.
Right.
Dr. Bush, as always, we appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Good to be here, Jeff. Thanks a lot.
You bet. Nice chatting with you. We'll be back right after this.